Hello, welcome again to the Wellness Adventure. We have a special presenter today. Her name is Blanca Pauliukevicius, and she's here to talk about the topic of burnout and how we can recover from it, how we can prevent it, what we can do to manage it and deal with it. So, Paula, welcome to our group, and tell us
Blanca.
about you and what you're currently working on these days.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much, Dr. April, for having me. It's so exciting to be here, and thank you for the opportunity. So, a little bit about me. Well, I have been a business and finance professional for over 20 years in different fields, public and private and higher education. And there was a point in this journey that I found myself suffering from burnout. I was working way too many hours. I was striving really hard to keep up with the demands of my jobs and also with the demands of being a new mom, um, and having a horrible commute also to work and going back to home. So that was probably maybe 3 hours each way, which was
Mm-hmm.
horrid. That I think the whole thing contributed to my burning out at work, and getting injured, from the stress, from the demands and everything. So what happened was that I was placed on a medical leave, and I had to then reevaluate my life and how I was leading my life. Unfortunately, it was too late because I not only had gotten injured, but I also was burned out at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I could feel myself, different, like my cognitive responses were different. My tolerance to stress was different. Physically, I was not in good shape. As much as I was trying to balance out my life and my work, I
Mm-hmm.
found myself really having a hard time with that. So when this happened, it came to a point where I really needed to evaluate my life and think about how I was leading it, how I wanted to show up, especially that I now had a daughter. So that led to evaluating, what was keeping me in that mode, in that overworking mode, or not, taking really good care of my health and my, taking the space and the time for self-care.
Mm-hmm. So
So
could you tell us a little bit about what is burnout and what's a great way to describe what happens with burnout?
yeah, burnout is a state of chronic stress that leads to physical and emotional exhaustion, cynicism, detachment, feelings of ineffectiveness and lack of accomplishment. Even though we're like working really, really hard, we are becoming less and less productive because of the what's happening in our body, in our brain. Our brain is not working as effectively. We're trying to do too many things at the same time. We're feeling overwhelmed. We have physical fatigue, exhaustion, cognitive weariness, forgetfulness, impaired concentration. We have all these symptoms. Some people might present like, chest pain, heart palpitation, gastrointestinal pain, or dizziness. A lot of different physical symptoms and immune related medical problems as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we also see people with like loss of appetite, anxiety, depression, anger, just low moods and sleep disturbances. It's a lot of things that are present when we experience burnout. And unfortunately, when we realize all these symptoms, it's sometimes a little too late
Yeah.
because it really creeps in, and you don't notice it until you are experiencing, significant symptoms that are impairing your life, your daily activities and stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
those are some of the signs that I've experienced myself, and that are, research shows that people go through those signs and symptoms.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Yes, definitely. That's one of the reasons why the Wellness Adventure Facebook group exists, to help people to prevent these conditions from happening, to help prevent the consequences of burnout and other stressors, things that we unintentionally do to harm ourselves.
Yeah.
These demanding environments that we are in. And so thank you. Burnout is such an important topic. Thank you so much for being here to share about that. So go ahead and tell us, continue with your story, because my next question was, how did you recover and conquer burnout?
Yes. So what I found through my own, soul work, okay, because I got to a point where I realized I needed to do my own soul work to find out why was I not having healthy enough boundaries with myself, with my work schedule, with the things that I allow myself to come into my life, the amount of work I allow myself to, that I signed up for, or that I, didn't, perhaps place strong enough boundaries. So that all led to, this satisfaction in my performance, in my life, how I was seeing my life. I didn't see myself doing the same thing for 10, 20 more years. So, and then finding myself on a medical leave and being injured and in chronic pain and all of that, it really, that can really mess up with somebody's mental health, So what I began to do, I enlisted all kinds of help. So I not only hired coaches,
Yes.
I hire, therapists, and I bought books and courses, and
Yes.
I researched and did a lot of journaling, because I was going through all the physical therapy appointments. I was going through all of the different treatment that I was given, and my body was just not responding. So, or it would respond, but it takes a long time, and it's been taking almost 3 years at this point now to start to feel better, to start to feel like I am myself again. So what I did was basically I took all the tools that I knew worked or started to work for me. So not only did I do my treatment, I did a lot of mindfulness. I started practicing Tai Chi and Qigong, which helped me get in touch with my body and how I was feeling. And then I started doing journaling. Started journaling questions and why am I feeling this way? What's, why is it keeping me, anxious? What's going on inside of me? Because sometimes we're too disembodied. And I'm also finding that there is a correlation between past trauma and our disembodiment and lack of boundaries and burnout.
Yes.
I think there is a correlation with all of that. And that's part of the work that I do now. I help women connect all these dots and then start digging out what it is that's keeping them with unhealthy behaviors. And I'm not a therapist or anything like that. It's just based on my own experience. So basically what started working for me was spending time in nature, doing the art journaling. So I started just making art just intuitively. I never painted before. I never drew. I only drew men's sticks.
Okay.
But then I started yes, I started painting and I started experiencing and experimenting with colors and textures and paint. So I started doing mixed media and really found a lot of satisfaction and calm. I could be there painting for 8 hours, and it was amazing for me, the feeling of just the expression, but also the calm and just being in the zone. So I discovered a whole different part of myself I didn't know it existed, because I was always an analytical, So I started practicing daily mindfulness, mindful moving meditations such as Tai Chi and Qigong, spending time in nature, and dealing with the past issues too, art journaling and journaling about it, and talking with the counselors and the coaches helping me deal with mindset issues and with blogs and the stories that we believe, that are keeping us stuck. So I developed, my own system, my own blueprint to try to get out of this state. And it's exciting. I just I created actually a company that deals with this, that creates a space for women to do nature and art and healing and mindfulness. So because at that point I'm like, there wasn't something like that, at least not that I could find easily. And then when I started discovering these things, and now there's a bunch of retreats everywhere, people doing this, and which is great because we need it. So that's how I came to heal, and I came to find also part of my purpose in helping other women deal with this, and what are the things that I find helpful in avoiding burnout or healing burnout. Yeah.
So powerful. Yeah, it sounds like we're on a very similar journey.
Yes, we are, which is exciting.
It really is. Goodness, I'm so glad that you found your way. It seems to me like sometimes there's this crossroads, right? Some people are like, you go like the why me route, and then it kind of like goes that way, or else you can say, what's happening? What can I do about it? And that takes you to a new journey of self-development and
and self-mastery. Yes, and it's very empowering, when you find who you really are and how you function, and you find ways to work with what you have and who you are that makes sense, that's more authentic. So I found it very empowering, and now I'm developing all these ideas and projects that's so exciting. I'm super excited about it.
Love it. All right, so I have a couple more questions for you. What would you tell someone who is currently dealing with burnout? What kinds of advice would you give them?
Yes. First of all, I would say make the time to be alone. Find the time, make it happen. Bring yourself to a retreat if that's, if necessary, because that's like the environment is all made so that you can experience solitude, tranquility, and then you can go into introspect to figure out how you got there. Because you first need to create that time and the space and the environment in order for you to dig out what it is that's keeping you there. Then the second step, I would say, is reassess your very own version of success. What truly, what success truly means to you, what really is most important to you. And by reassessing your priorities and your version of success, you can then reprioritize how you want to spend your energy, because your energy is limited. So once you do that and you make a plan, then you can then start using some of these tools to heal your burnout by journaling, by talking to a therapist, by making daily adjustments to your habits, your life, practicing better boundaries, keeping having someone keeping you accountable, and basically just sticking to a practice with devotion. So for me, what has worked, and not only prayer but also going to Tai Chi and Qigong like as a ritual, that helps me reconnect with myself and reprioritize how I'm going to spend my day, what's important, how I'm going to spend. And I could be bombarded by 1,000 things, which is usually the case. And I have this thing that I want to be on top of everything, and it's just really tracing new neural pathways to create new habits that will lead you in a better, healthier, more manageable, more livable life. So that's, like those are some of the things that I would say to someone who is dealing with burnout. Readjust your priorities, reshape your habits. First of all, create the space, and then do all these things. And then, one thing at a time, one habit at a time, with the practice, with the mindfulness, just reassess and just keep yourself on track. Somebody can help you stay on track or keep you accountable. And use nature as much as possible. And art, if you're called, art, I find it very healing. And so those are some of the things that I would say, that worked for me and that I highly recommend to anyone who's dealing with this.
Thank you. Any last comments that you would have about healing from burnout? Do you have anything to say as we close?
No, I mean, I think, we kind of cover, how it comes about. I would say the only thing I would say, if somebody finds themselves just starting to feel overwhelmed, with life and job demands and child rearing or whatever it is, whatever role you're playing or roles, just always go back to realigning and prioritizing, and really like sticking with that, because it's very easy to get derailed. So just realigning and reprioritizing your version of success and how you want to spend your time and your energy. Mm-hmm. Those are like my key points too.
So much wisdom, so much information today. Thank you so much, Blanca.
Thank you, Dr. April. It's so good to be here with you and to share this with you. What are your thoughts? Will you share with me some of your thoughts about it?
Sure, definitely. I love your process and that you're able to share your story in such a very organized and very clear way. It's wonderful to hear, and it's very, there's a lot of process that you draw out for people to follow. You provide some very practical information and advice, and I think that our group is going to definitely benefit from this, and I think it's going to help a lot of people through their journeys. So I'm really
great, fantastic. Did you find that in your research, from the research you've done, do you find, is there something else that could be added to this process that could be that could benefit or improve the healing?
To improve the healing, I would say you mentioned a lot of the things that are out there. So like the meditation, the exercise, being out in nature, definitely the art. I spoke to someone earlier today about art therapy for emotional wellness. And yeah, definitely. And then there's also things like nutritional supplements. Mm-hmm. I have met somebody who works with a guided imagery practice. Yes. So there are these other additional options for people, but definitely you provided a wonderful group of options. And I think any of these things will be very impactful for people.
Right. Fantastic.
Yes. Thank you so much, Blanca.
Thank you.
Yes. Tell us more about your retreat, if you could.
Yes, definitely. So along with all of the things that make up the blueprint, I guess, or the secret formula of wellness, and in my point of view, or in my experience, my retreats also have a service component.
Okay.
So not only we do art for healing and mindful meditation, we also incorporate service to the local communities where we retreat at. Mm-hmm. So eco art journey. So it's eco nature art, and journeys is like our inner journey of healing and recognizing and acknowledging ourselves and our needs, and also the world. So we want to change the world by providing a service and having that, meaningful connection with other people, experiencing their local cultures, interacting with them and sharing our gifts with them, and vice versa as well, So my retreats for the most part, include a service component to the communities. We recently had a planned retreat for Nicaragua that we had to suspend for now due to the current situation in the country, but we'll be hosting that one in the near future as soon as things calm down. Mm-hmm. And also in Mexico, we have connections with other nonprofit organizations as well, where we connect with local communities and women to help empower them and give them tools and and training so they can be self-sufficient and self-reliant. So it's not just your common resort stay or resort retreat. No, it's usually, yes, a space for self-connection and healing and mindfulness and reflection, but also a place to put more meaning in our lives by giving back to other community or other women who need help. So yeah, ecoartjourneys.com. Yes, that's a website.
Oh wow, I'm gonna check it out.
Yes, definitely. I can post it in the group later if you want to.
Do. Sounds wonderful.
Yes, thank you. That's my baby brain, my brain baby, I guess I should say.
I love it. Beautiful stories.
So in a way, I can thank Burnout.
Yeah,
exactly. I can thank that to Burnout because otherwise I would not come up with that idea.
Thank you. That's what I say. Sometimes these things are a blessing in disguise.
It is. Yes, definitely.
All right.
So thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you very much. And let's stay in touch.
Yes, we will. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.